Welcome, one and all, to the Friday, October 22nd edition of the Signals from Mars live stream brought to you by the Mars Attacks podcast. I'm your host, Victor. And as you can see, Drew Fortier is not here. Drew has mentioned that he is running a little bit late, and he will be here at the bottom of the hour. So what can you do? Anyway, I do want to welcome everyone to the show. I see that we have Rob Rowe is already there. Hello, sir. How are you? We also have Mr. Jeremy Weltman up in Manchester. I say up because he is north of me. I hope the two of you are doing well tonight. And so like I said, Drew will be here at the bottom of the hour, but we've still got things that we can do to keep busy with the show. Got some stuff on the board in front of me, so I can discuss some of that stuff. Actually, Jeremy got a sneak peek. I included some of this information today when I released episode 244 with Steve Hoker. Steve is the original patron, and it's always fun to talk to him, as it is fun to always talk to all of my patrons. So it was great to have him back on. He was able to chip in when I couldn't get another guest on. So it was just it's always cool to catch up with him and talk about Halloween, talk to him about hard rock, metal, and of course wrestling. The two of us talk about that topic all the time. It's funny because I showed him a wrestling influenced video that is going up on Patreon, and his first reaction was, not sure that I'm keen on the song, but let's see what everyone says about the video in itself. So some hardcore wrestling from GCW. We'll see. Anyway, other things besides that, there is the replay for last week's live stream. Took me some time to get it together because last week's live stream was taken down by YouTube. We had 3 copyright strikes. There was a Misfits video, which I played, but there was no sound to it. It was just the image, and Warner Brothers Media complained. That was the big red flag. And then there were 2 other songs that I included, one by Ice Nine Kills, where it was just a small sample of the video and the song. And then the other one was from a band called The Popo out of Philadelphia, which the song is, at this point in time, 16 years old. You know, it's burning up the charts. So we want to make sure that nobody's monetizing that shit. So go figure. Anyway, so I had to re-edit the video. I had to blur everything out. I had to take the audio out, and kind of awkward, but it is what it is. You know, live and learn. One of these things where you just realize that you can't, that I can't use anything, any sort of content like that. So I will not do it. Hello, sir. Jose up in Connecticut. He is chiming in. Glad to see you aboard as well. Helping my my Twitch hours there. What else do we have going on? Oh, so every week on the podcast, Jeremy actually has his patrons pick of the week. And this week he kind of threw us all. And it's funny because midstream he says, I can't wait to hear what Victor's reaction is. And my reaction was just, wow, over and over again. I didn't expect him to pick the new album by Dead. And I don't know, the song that I heard off of the album was kind of cool. I almost posted it within Patreon, but I didn't because I didn't think it was kind of what people would appreciate. But see, there you go. Just because I think something might not be accepted, I should still post it anyway and let the patrons decide. For those that don't know, the patrons actually help select the videos they like the most. And from those videos, the songs become part of a playlist that you can find on MarsAttacksRadio.com. If you go to playlists from the menu, you'll find the playlists or links to the playlist on either Spotify or Apple Music. You can save them, you can listen to them. They're both well over 10 hours long at this point in time, if I'm not mistaken. And there's a lot of cool stuff there. I listen to the playlist quite frequently, actually. So if you're looking for new music, it's definitely a place to go to check stuff out. So I highly recommend you checking it out. And again, if that kind of piques your fancy and you say, hey, wait a minute, I want to get involved and I want to be able to pick some of these songs. $2 a month gets you in. It also gets you to next month's band discussion right here with all of my patrons and with all the ones that can be involved. We need to pick a day and a band. There are a few different suggestions for everyone that's in the chat. And hey, Brad is joining us. Dr. Poison is in the house. Any bands that you guys want to talk about next month? Are you guys thinking of any bands yet? There's a few names that I threw out there, but we haven't solidified anything. I'll have to make the rounds again. Going back to Patreon, the patrons know about the behind the scenes stuff that I'm doing via the Patreon exclusive podcast that I do, the Victor M. Ruiz podcast. And with that podcast, I kind of do metal news, which I do sometimes when guests are late, like tonight. Or I also let people know what I'm working on behind the scenes. One of the things that I've recently done, and I know that a lot of podcasters were poo-pooing people because of this initially, but I got to say, I miss playing music. So I've added excuse me, my voice dropping out there. I added a Mars Attacks Radio show on Anchor, which is owned by Spotify. It allows me to add music to shows. And what happens is, if you're a subscriber of Spotify, you get the songs in their entirety. If not, you get a 30-second sound sample of the track that I'm using. What I've done with the first episode is essentially talk about people that I've interviewed recently, or I talk about Joshua Toomey interviewing, and I say recently, this may actually be close to 2 months ago at this point, but he interviewed Jason Newsted. It was actually a really cool interview. So I talk about that, mix in the 30th anniversary of the Black Album by Metallica. And I also, what else? I talk about some other bands that I've interviewed recently and play their music. So if you've heard them on the show, but haven't had time to check their music out, at least if you're not subscribed to Spotify, you get that little sound sample, and that'll help you figure out if you actually want to check the album out or not. What else do we have? We have a bunch of other interviews coming up as well. Next Friday, we have Ron Scalzo and Chris Penny of Return to Earth. We may have another member of the band join. We'll see. I saw some rumblings going back and forth on social media, but no promises. We have Gary Shea of Alcatraz, also known for working with Vinnie Vincent. So if you have any Vinnie Vincent questions, Chris Sinzek, send them to me DM them to me on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, wherever you want. And as always, my patrons get first crack at asking questions to guests. So another perk about being a patron. Another perk is that with that radio show, hopping back and forth here, but with that radio show, what I'm going to do is also a patron picks episode where the patrons that want to get involved, they'll pick tracks from songs that have come out recently, preferably within the month in which the episode is coming out, to again help spread the joy and love of music that we all have. So looks like Brad is into the Scorpions idea as well. And let me see on the list, do we have anything else? No, I think I covered everything. One thing that I did want to do before hopping on over to Blabbermouth is show you a Patreon exclusive, which is the album of the week. So I've been talking about doing this for a while, and the idea here is to show people what the album of the week is like. So this past week's album of the week is Eternal Blue by Spirit Box. And this looks amazing. So I want to share it with you guys so that you see what a good job they've done. And also, so people that are kind of on the fence as to being involved with Patreon and becoming a patron, this is the kind of stuff that you guys get. So I'm going to give you more or less 90% of this. I'm going to cut out the ending because the ending is me thanking all of the patrons. I do that at the end of all of the Signals from Mars episodes anyway. So I don't want people to think it's the end of the show with me playing that ending. So anyway, this is what one of the album of the week videos looks like. Welcome, everyone, to the latest edition of the album of the week here on the Mars Attacks podcast, Signals from Mars, live stream, Patreon page, and we have Spirit Adrift's recently released Eternal Blue. Right off the bat, looks really neat. If you see how everything is kind of designed here. This is an album that really caught me off guard. You know, I thought it had some cool songs, but then I got to listen to the entire release, and it's strong all the way through. And it's got a little bit for everyone. There's some screaming involved. There's some clean vocals. There's a lot of things to like, basically. So let's see. The vinyl is in, what else? Blue. Side A, side B, side A. Not to be confused with side 1 and 2 or the G and the R side. And let's see here. Let's pop this out. What is this? So we leave that behind, and holy cow. This is an actual like giant like CD booklet. It's really cool. Wow, this is really some really cool detail here. I've never seen anything like this. This is really cool. Cool sounding album. Cool packaging. Cool everything. I mean, they've really gone out of their way to put a special package together. We talk about how, you know, you want to have that the vinyl because you want to have these special things, but this is really going above and beyond, man. This is crazy. Very unique, very awesome. And again, gives you a reason to want to buy this stuff. A lot of the things that I talk about, how people just kind of, just kind of mail it in and expect people to pick up their stuff. But Spirit Box, really a home run here. This is ridiculously cool. I want to get this back in without tearing the middle. Okay, so there we go. Awesome. Spirit Box. Check it out. Really cool release. Eternal Blue. See you. All right, so that's what my albums of the week look like. I try to pick things that are kind of cool for my collection and share them with you guys so that you see some neat things that may interest you and to pick up. So that is beyond cool looking, and that's why I wanted to share that specifically, because I thought that it was unique and it really stood out to me. But let's see here. Let us go to real quickly here. Let's talk about some of the new releases that came out today. As you guys know, you can go to MarsAttacksRadio.com. You could either click on new releases from the top of the page, or you can do it from here. So, let's see. So we have Armored Saints latest. We have A Symbol of Salvation live. Album is ridiculously good. I'd play you something off of it, but I don't want to get banned. So the whole thing here is that, to me, the album sounds like a classic live album, where we all know about albums that have come out in the last few years that just do not sound good live. Okay. So this, to me, reminds me of Live After Death, Kiss Alive and Kiss Alive 2, Strangers in the Night by UFO, Live Shit Binge and Purge by Metallica. What else? Worldwide Live by Scorpions. Trying to think of other classics. Cheap Trick live at Budokan. I understand that not all of them are fully live, but they have a certain energy to them where it makes you feel like you're there and makes you want to be there. I always offer links up to Spotify, Apple Music, in this case, Bandcamp. Also talk up the new Udo album. Udo is Udo, is UDO. There's a few really cool songs off of this album. There's 16 songs total. So if you enjoy Udo, I'm sure that, or UDO, I'm sure that you'll find something appealing. Same deal. Spotify, Apple Music, but this time we're going to AFM Records, which is their label. They don't have a Bandcamp, so that's why I did it that way. Other new albums from Dream Theater: Cradle of Filth, Every Time I Die, Starset, Massacre, Empty, Catalyst Crime, So Furious, I guess that's how you pronounce it, Cognos, Slow Crush. All right, this is an Italian name, so Premiata Forniera Marconi. Okay, The City Is Ours, Apparition, Can't Swim, Amount It, I guess that's pronounced, Worm, Livlos, not sure how that's pronounced, 1914, Green Lung, Samus or Sames, Burning Point. Yeah, it looks like I have Apparition twice. We'll have to delete that. And Nightland, once year EPs, three Bled Promises, and a split from Don't Grow Old, Burr. Bunch of Slayer issues, a live album from Ghoul, compilations from Sepultura, the iconic 6 a.m., and Ishan. So there you go. Let's hop on over to some blabbermouth news here between now and the time that Mr. Fortier shows up. So let's see here. Some of my patrons already got me to talk about, or already heard me talking about metal news yesterday. So I'm going to go up until what I discussed on the Victor M. Ruiz podcast. And hopefully, in 8 minutes or so, Mr. will be here. We will cram all the questions I have for him in that time. Let's see. So, latest news from Blabbermouth. Dream Theater's James Labrie addresses John Petrucci's frustration over tour postponement. Black Crowes photo book from Ross Halfin coming soon. Yngwie J. Malmsteen. Eddie Van Halen changed everything. Judge dismisses copyright suit against Nirvana over Dante's Inferno illustration. Watch Dokken perform in Agora Hills, California. Scorpions seems to be the front runner for next month's band discussion. Scorpions' new single, Peacemaker, will now arrive in early November. Voivod completes recording new album. LA Guns drops music video for new single, Get Along. Have to check that out. Anthrax reunites with Chuck D at New York's Comic-Con. Sounds cool. But if you listen to this show, you know who I want them to reunite with. Chuck D can be involved too. KK Downing wishes Richie Faulkner a speedy recovery after health scare. It's a terrible thing. So there you guys go. Someone was looking for a gotcha moment, and KK came off as a gentleman. Gene Simmons explains why he is selling his Las Vegas house only 5 months after buying it. Oh, wow. That's interesting. We may come back to that. Slash featuring Miles Kennedy and the Conspirators announced 4 albums. Share The River is Rising music video. Okay. Battle Beast shares music video for new single, Master of Illusion. Slipknot announces first ever live stream from next month's Knotfest, Los Angeles. All right, Jeremy, get ready for this one. Magnum to release new album, The Monster Roars, in January. The Helicopters to release new album in spring. Let's see, Jerry Cantrell shares brand new track, Siren Song. We'll be sharing that in Patreon shortly. Head P announces Caliphus Worldwide album. Bruce Dickinson says his upcoming performance of John Lord's Concerto for Groups and Orchestra will be mega. Okay, and watch Steel Panther perform with bassist Ricky Dazzle. So, real quickly here, Dream Theater's James Labrie says he turned down offer to audition for Iron Maiden. Serge Tankian test positive for COVID. And that's it. We're kind of caught up with where I left the Patreon podcast yesterday, and right in time because we are joined by Mr. Drew Fortier.
Hey, what's going on?
How are you, sir? Can you hear me? Hello?
I can hear you. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, it seems to be cutting out a little.
Ooh,
Um,
let's see. Network connection, supposedly. Let's see. Cut out of here. Can you hear me at all?
yeah, now I can hear you.
Okay, cool. All right, awesome. Hey,
Yeah,
what's up, Brad? Roar. He said, "Do the roar." I'm not sure if that's. I don't think I'm known for being a roarer, but there you go.
well, actually, before that, I was catching up on news on Blabbermouth, and
Ooh, nice.
one of the bands that Jeremy, one of my followers from England, talks about all the time, is a band called Magnum, which was never big in the U.S. And they're gonna release an album in January called "The Monster Roars." So I believe
Nice.
in response to that. So
Oh, that's cool. Magnum. I've heard of Magnum. Remember Gun? Remember the band Gun?
yeah. "Steal Your Fire" was a big track that actually made it on Headbangers Ball. They were also on the Barbed Wire soundtrack.
Yeah,
They did
was it Word Up?
okay,
Young pretty ladies.
that's right.
They did a
Yes,
cool cover of Word Up.
yeah, the cameo song.
Yeah.
Correct. You are correct, sir. So,
Yay.
so cool. I appreciate you joining me. I know that you had a hectic day, so I appreciate you being able to squeeze us in here.
Oh, it's
And
always a pleasure, man. Always a pleasure.
yeah, it's always fun to have you on the show. And since you've got a great new album
Oh, thank
from
you.
the band The Lucid that just came out last week, got a few questions here. There may be some questions thrown at you from the chat as
Oh,
well.
yeah. Yeah, well, yeah, absolutely anything. Anything you guys want.
All right, cool. So, starting out, we all know about what happened to Dave a few months back. The press, I was just talking about Blabbermouth and all the usual sites decided to, kind of run with the story for better or worse. At any time, did you guys think that would affect the release of the Lucid album, or did that never even cross your guys' minds?
No. It was we've been done with the album since before that, actually. That happened in May. This is before that. And we always, probably around like February, March, we're like, you know what, October 15th is like the perfect. So we kept with the release date, and everything too, because all that stuff with Dave and all, it was sensationalized by the press big time. His name was cleared pretty much immediately. It's just like that song "Dirty Laundry" by Don Henley. It's like everybody, if it bleeds, it reads. So of course they're gonna, you know, take things out of context just to get clicks and everything, and you know how they do. But yeah, we're all just kind of just like laugh at these goofballs in the press and all that. But we appreciate them the same way too, because it's you got to have the press, I guess. But
Right.
but yeah. I mean, it's been interesting, and Dave's doing awesome. He's the happiest I've seen him in probably ever. He's free as a bird now, and he's just kind of like just enjoying it.
Right. Do you think that has to do more with the fact that he can focus on projects that he wants to work on, and maybe the way things ended with him in Megadeth kind of made him appreciate some of the other stuff that that he has full control over more than, he was obviously an employee in Megadeth this time around. So it's not the same as, you know, before the band broke up in 2002.
Yeah, you're absolutely right, man. Like he doesn't have to worry about any restrictions as far as like, oh, this is going to step on their toes here, that's going to step on their toes there, and overall, he's never really had this kind of freedom before, because 20 years ago when that happened, it was, Megadeth were still like a viable band. It's like they were like a current band, if you will. Now they're more so a legacy band. All the hits happened already. and Ellefson was there for that. You know, he was there for the big dance, and and so as it stands right now, Megadeth is a legacy band. You know, I mean, so nobody's majority of the people who buy the tickets to go see them aren't going to see them to play the new songs. You know, they're gonna go to see them play Symphony and Peace Sells and Holy Wars and all the hits. You know, so that's you know, so I mean, so with that said, you know, Ellison was there for the big dance with those guys, all the big hits, all the big albums, and he was a part of that. And of creating that, he was a founding member too. So you know, it's like for you know, as it stands now, it's like he's that's always going to be his legacy, and he's totally happy with that. And yeah, and he's just he's happy, man. You know, it makes me happy hearing how happy he is now, talking to him on the phone and everything, and we're just joking about the press stuff and all that, like that DNA line, which may or may not have been on purpose to troll the trolls a little bit.
Yeah, it I don't know. I think the whole kind of the way things were handled from the Megadeth side of things was kind of unfair.
You know what? Without speaking for Dave, just myself, I agree 100%. They just reacted too quickly. You know, it was just it was like an instant thing too. So I mean, I know you know, I know there's a bit more to it than that, but it's like, yeah, the way it unfolded and everything was just it was really stupid, you know. But hey, you know what? At the end of the day, Dave's you know, a lot more happier now than he probably would have been if it was the other way around, you know. If yeah.
It's interesting too, because some of the rumblings that I heard from other shows and people that kind of know all the parties involved behind the scene brought up the fact that maybe Mustaine didn't like the fact that Dave had all these other things going on and felt that maybe they kind of affected the Megadeth name and whatnot. So when all of that was coming out, and you'd already sent me a song from the Lucid, and it was funny because one of my first thoughts was, wow, this track sounds really cool. I want to hear more of this. So if
awesome.
for whatever reason Megadeth would have stopped this album from coming out, I'm glad that it has come out. And you know, as the cliche goes, you know, one door closes, another one opens. So
oh yeah, totally. And that's why we picked October 15th early on, because that was when Megadeth were going to be off tour and it wouldn't have gotten in the way of anything and all that too. But at the same time, think about this. As Megadeth's going on, Kiko's got he came out with a solo album, you know, last year, and it was incredibly successful. Dirk guests on drums on so many different albums. So like every member has their own thing and all that too. So I don't think at all it had to do with Ellefson's side stuff stepping on Megadeth's toes, because they've both parties, Megadeth and Dave and all that, have always been respectful of each other's, you know, kind of personal projects and everything, and so yeah, I know that wasn't a problem at all, and yeah, as far as I know.
Okay, Brad, hold that thought. I will be asking Drew about something related to that later. So
oh, thank you, Brad, and thank you, Jeremy. I appreciate you checking it out. That's awesome.
Yeah. So if I have my story correct, you started writing the material for the Lucid on your own, and then the components started coming together of the band. Mike Heller came in next, then Vinnie, and then Dave came in last. Is that correct?
100% correct. Yeah, Vinnie came in last, and you know, one of the tracks I actually probably like most of the tunes started off as instrumental, fully structured demos, and it's just guitar. Like it's like as if you just, you know, plucked a guitar track from a song, and that's how it's kind of like laid out. And one of them actually dates back to when I was in high school, and that was a Parade of Spit. I had that music as an acoustic demo from when I was like probably 15, 16 years old. So it's pretty cool that it finally got to grow up and be something. And but the first thing that we all worked on though was Hair, the song Hair, and that was a leftover guitar demo from Zen from Mars.
Okay.
And I always really got a kick out of the piece of music, and so did Mike. And then one day I was like, "Hey, Mike, you just want to play drums on this?" And he was like, "Yeah, sure." So we did like one track of drums, and I was like, "Hey, Dave, I'm gonna lay down some bass on this." He was like, "Yeah, sure." And then all three of us were like, "Hey, this is really cool." And I was like, "Hey, it just so happens we have like 30 more instrumental demos." And then we were like, "Who are we gonna get to sing on this?" And then the first person that came to mind was Vinnie from Sponge. And so I sent them what was then the instrumental of Hair, the demo. And then immediately I was like, "Oh man, I know why I wanted Vinny, because the instrumental demo of Hair sounded just like the Sponge song Wax is Static as far as like the vibe and everything." And I was like, "Oh no."
Right.
Then immediately I was like, "You know what, Vinny, don't worry about it. You know, pretend you didn't see this. It's all good. You know, it sounded too much like Wax is Static, so it's all good." Then he hits me back. He was like, "Man, I don't care. Just send me the song." And I was like, "All right." Then I sent it to him, and then he sent it back, and it was a track called Hair. And I was like, the first thing I thought was, because Vinny's like a punk rock guy at heart, and I was like, I really hope this isn't like a song like bashing like Bang Tango for being a hair band or something.
Right.
And then I listened to it, and I was like blown away. I was like, oh man, because the lyrics of Hair, it's one of those songs where if you know, you know, whether you've known somebody like that or been in love with somebody like that, and you weren't there to hold their hair, and
Mhm.
and there's so many different ways, and that one that just always hit me really hard, because and that's still to this day my favorite one. It's sentimental because it's the first one, and because of the lyrical content, and just what Vin ended up doing with it, and then from there, I was like, "Hey, Vin, want to do another one? Want to do another one?" And then we ended up giving him a Dropbox full of 30 instrumental demos, and then he wrote to, I think, 12 of them, 11 or 12, and then we whittled it down to 9 for the album. And Mike gets credit for the bridge of "Damned," because he turned that into like a thrash metal thing. It was really cool. So it's like it's a cool album because it kind of goes all over the place. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it definitely is. One of the things that stood out to me is that no two songs sound alike. To me, the front runner of my favorite so far is Pigs and Sons.
That is
So
awesome. That's part of my, yeah. That's up there for me with Hair, and that one too. Bin, because that was just a guitar demo like anything else, and it was way different than what it became, because he ended up adding programmed drums to it and just restructured the demo, and wrote to that. And it was when he first sent that, like, I was just blown away. I was like, holy crap! And the lyrics of that one, I remember him telling me it's based on this like his iteration of this poem from like 1919 called "Death's Invite," I think, or something like that. And
okay.
his lyrics are twisted, man. They're so cool, because the pre-chorus of Pigs is lice have no chance, and the hair of the dance, and it's just so it's crazy. I mean, it's like poetry, So when he first sent me the lyrics written down, like, it's for all the songs, it's like, whoa, it's really cool. But yeah, I love Pigs. That's a good one.
So all of these songs were already, you had started writing them years ago. Was there anything that you started writing when the Lucid kind of started coming together? It's all
Oh
previous
yeah,
you
oh yeah,
had.
yeah. Yeah. Parade was from high school, and Ben actually wrote to the demo from high school too, which is pretty cool. And let's see, and then Hair was a leftover ZFM song. Maggot Win, the music for that was laying around for a bit too. Within the past couple years between me and Mike, and so that one's been around. Deaths of Despair, and then there was a period right when the pandemic hit that I was off work for like 2 weeks, and that's when I ended up doing like the 30 things, and then me and Mike worked on some stuff together too, and all that, and so yeah, Deaths of Despair, that was a new one. That was at the time when the Lucid was coming together. Spoilerhead, same thing. Hair, that was around for a minute. Mask or Not, oh yeah, that one's really cool with what Vin did to that one, because originally the guitar demo was just two chord progressions just over and over and over again, almost like a Killing Joke song, was just over and over and over again. And then he took it, and it just like, oh man. And then we added strings to it, which Ali Storch from Subway to Sally did the string arrangements on Mask or Not.
Oh,
Damned was a new one. Breach Boy. I was kind of messing with the music of that one, around with the music of that one for a couple of years. Pigs and Sons, that was a new one, and yeah, man. Then Parade was from high school. So, but yeah, it was Mike helped arrange a lot of this stuff too, and he produced the whole thing, and he really
right,
helped hold me back from adding too many guitar tracks, because that's what happened with Zen from Mars. There was like 14,000 guitar tracks and everything, and that one, that whole thing is kind of, and the Lucid is kind of a reaction to that whole process, because
right,
me and Mike with the Zen from Mars thing, it just ended up just being such a battle, that just because one particular member kind of went rogue and decided to make it his own thing, and then me and Mike were like, well, what's going on, and then the rest of the guys are just like, yeah, what's going on, and so we're just that's going to be on the back burner probably for a very long time, but that's okay, because the Lucid is everything me and Mike wanted Zen from Mars to be, and
okay.
between Vinny and Dave, we all get along amazing. Like we check in on each other like every other day, just to see how we're doing every day pretty much, and
Mhm.
it's that's what means most to me, is just the friendship aspect, and then from there everything comes naturally.
Right. Okay. Now, were there any parts that you wrote specifically because, say, you had Vinny on vocals, or or you had Dave come along and you thought, well, I've got a really accomplished bass player, so now I can write a more intricate guitar part and have him throw in some of his flair into this to really make the song pop.
With the Dave, yeah, Damned was a reaction to that too, and I had something structured out as a guitar demo, and then Mike plays guitar too, and he's a great guitar player, and he kind of went in and he added some parts, and I helped him figure out what he heard in his brain to kind of get out in his fingertips, because he's a fairly new guitar player, and he
Hmm.
came up with like all those fast bits during the verse, the ba-na-na-na-na-na-na-ba-da-da-da-da, like all the Metallica Megadeth kind of sounding stuff, because he was like, okay, Dave's playing on this, we got to put him to good use, and so that for sure. And as far as Vin, we were blown away by what pieces of music he chose and didn't choose. Like some stuff I specifically wrote to be like, okay, Vin's definitely gonna want to write to this, because we didn't force him to write to anything. We're just like, here's all the demos. Just go with what you're feeling. No restrictions. Write what you want. And yeah, Dan was what I was really surprised he ended up going with. And then after he wrote to it is when Mike kind of took it and was like, okay, Dave's playing on this. We got to make it, extra awesome. So Mike made the bridge what it is, and a lot of the thrash metal the bits like throughout the rest of the song and all that too. And
Right.
trying to think what else, but yeah, Vin blew us away by what he chose. Same thing with like Mastronaut, because I wouldn't have thought it was just two chord progressions over and over again, and he just took it and oh man, so he has, yeah. So it's a really fun process.
Cool. Was there ever a plan B if Vinny wasn't gonna get involved with the project? Did you have like a list of like people that you wanted to work with just in case, or was Vinny the only guy that you really went after?
Vinny was definitely number one. Like he was the guy. Like he was like, we love Vinny. If me personally, if I had to pick a number two, it probably would have been uh, uh, Burton from Fear Factory, and 'cause he's a dear friend, and we were talking about doing something together. So if I had to pick somebody next on the list, it probably would have been Bert. Hmm.
That would have definitely been an interesting mix.
Yeah, no, you never know. We still might do something.
Well, keep me in the loop. I'd love to hear that.
Oh yeah.
I'm a huge fan of his as well. So
Oh yeah, he's great.
yeah. Was there anything that you tried with the Lucid that you wanted to try for years and just never got around to doing it, or was never in the right opportunity to try?
Yep, and that being an album that got finished. So that's so I and this is the first thing it did that really came out. I've been doing this for like 10 years now, and this is the first album and and we all co-founded the thing, and we all built it up together, and so this is definitely without a doubt my proudest musical moment for sure. And but yeah, extremely happy, and yeah, everything there is everything I always wanted to do, and even if this is the last thing I ever did, I'm the happiest guy in the world, because I got to do it with the people I got to do it with, who I really love and
Right.
get along with, and that means the world to me. So I'm really happy, and even happier that people are getting a kick out of it too.
Mhm. Cool. Yeah, I was up till like 4 something in the morning last week listening to the interview that you guys did with Chris Aiken.
Oh, cool. Yeah, that was a fun one.
Yeah, and it was funny because I believe you brought up the fact that the cover has a piñata on it.
Yeah, yeah.
To Sponge's rotting piñata, and I just started laughing my ass off. I'm like, holy shit, he's totally right.
And
Was
the
that
back cover too. The back cover, there's a skull with a missing tooth, and that's the cover of Wax Static
right,
with the
right,
guy
right?
with the tooth, and that was totally unintentional too, which
Oh,
is
no shit.
yeah, it's really funny.
Oh, that's cool. That makes it even cooler. Um, we've talked about Dwellers
Mhm.
several times in the past. You're obviously on the convention circuit right now. You're gonna be in the area where I grew up shortly. You're gonna be at the
Oh,
Chiller at
Parsippany?
in Parsippany.
Mhm.
I used to work behind where the hotel
Oh, no
where the
way.
held at. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I
Oh,
grew
that's
up
awesome.
5 miles away from that. Um, but yeah, what's it like to make the rounds at these conventions? What makes it worthwhile for you? Is it getting accolades from other people? Is it meeting fans? What really makes you want to show up to these things?
Just the whole experience is amazing. We just did one this past weekend at it's called Dead Convention in Fort Wayne, Indiana, and it
Okay.
was just an incredible time. Just of course the fans and all that, and me and Dave was there too. We were both there, and we just had such a great fucking time, and hanging out with all the other actors and all that and everything, and
Mhm.
it's just it was like summer camp. It was just oh man, it was such a good time, and yeah, this is the whole thing. It's just I love it. It just yeah, we just love being there, and we're definitely looking to do a lot more too. And yeah, and it was a great group of guests that they had. Like we got to hang out with our buddy Lou Temple and Paul T. Taylor and Hannah Fearman and all that, and they're all just wonderful. And Tommy Friedley from Friday 13th Part Six, yeah, he was. It was, it's the coolest thing, and yeah, and the hang around the event itself, like in the hotel lobbies and all that at the restaurants, it's just it's truly an amazing time. And then and to see people, just light up when they see Dave at the table, and it was just so it's I remember this one girl came up and she was in tears because Dave's her favorite bass player of all time, and she was shaking and all that. And I was like, Dave, look what you did, and it's like, and I was like, dude, you're like a Beatle, and it was really touching, just to hear all that, and like how much Dave means to all these people and everything, and
Right.
I'm just I'm just a peripheral piece. Like I'm just kind of there, just like, oh, look at that and everything. And it's just they ended up giving me my own table and all that. But I prefer just to hang out at Dave's table, because I'm just like a branch off of him with all this stuff.
Right.
I don't take myself too serious, so I don't see myself as like it's like boom, boom, boom. I get my own table. Where's my per diem? And all that. And so that's not me at all. I just have fun being there.
I just had a bunch of inside stories jump in my head, but we'll leave that for another time.
Ooh.
I'm sure you know where I'm going with that.
Is that
But
with the convention itself, or
one of the things you just said and rumors that I've heard about per diems and things like that. But
oh, is
anyway,
that the one we just did?
no, 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 no.
Oh,
I
okay.
don't want to
See,
get.
there's a funny story with that too. I don't know if I can say it out loud, but I have to tell you in private because yeah, the event itself was definitely a circus. Like as far as like how it was with the so there's yeah, that's the cool thing about it. The event itself, it was one thing, but the experience around it was incredible. But yeah, I'll tell you later about that. It was
Okay.
yeah, a lot of people were not happy. A lot of some of the guests ended up leaving and all
Um,
that.
how many awards have you guys won for Dwellers so far?
I think like 15 or something, and it's people are crazy. Like I pretty much made the movie as a joke. It was just kind of like it's just a fun thing I got to do with my friends, and then
Mhm.
I definitely didn't expect people to take it take it serious and make it count as a movie. but the fact that people tap it is really really nice. I'm still kind of like, oh wow, and I'm definitely sick of seeing myself from editing the movie, so it's like, so because I hear my voice and doing all that, and so I've did there of all the screenings I've been to for it, I haven't watched it once. I do like an intro and then I'm like, all right, I'm out of here, I'm gonna go do something else. And
Right.
but it's nice. And it's funny just now that it's out, the whole critical reception too. Like a lot of people like the critics like watching it as like a film, and just
Right.
ripping it to shreds. And I'm like, you know what? All the reasons why you hate the movie are the reasons why I made it. And so that's my thing. I just had fun doing it, and the fact that people have been getting a kick out of it, and it got accolades for it is mind blowing. So thank you for everybody who enjoyed it, and thank you for everybody who didn't enjoy it. Thanks for wasting your time on it.
The movie is now out on Amazon, is it? Or
Yeah,
you could
Amazon Prime, and I just got word that it's going to pop up on some more streaming stuff too. I forgot, it's some kind of a B movie streaming service or something, or like the point of view horror, found footage horror, or something like that. But
okay.
I'm sure I'll keep everybody informed. But yeah, Amazon Prime. Mm.
Okay. I have to see if it's available on Amazon Prime over here or not, because the licensing is sometimes different. So
Oh, right, right.
what's available in the US on Amazon Prime isn't available over here. So um going back to the Lucid,
Mhm.
I'm waiting for November 1st to do the Bandcamp to pick up the album, because supposedly that gives you guys the most amount of money from what I've been told,
Really?
for per album sales. Um, is there someplace else that you recommend? Brad just said that he's going to pick up the CD. Is there any place that Brad or anyone else can go to pick up the album, which will ensure that the band gets the most amount of money from that sale?
I'd say the Bandcamp is totally fine. I didn't know that about the November 1st. That's interesting. But and eventually we're gonna probably shift it over to Amazon. Uh,
Okay.
once we get all that worked out and everything, because we're doing everything in house. We got a fulfillment guy and all that, and this kind of just for this initial just to push, just to make sure, and it's and I know people ordered T-shirts. That's gonna be about a week or two to get that squared away, and um, and the signed CD's been just finished signing his today, and he's mailing those back to the manufacturing guy, and so then he'll be getting out the signed CDs and all that. But yeah, I'd say the Bandcamp is totally cool, Brad, to order it from, and yeah, and it's kind of cool too because this is only phase one of promotion. Just the album coming out. Phase two is probably going to happen around December, January, or something like that. Which is it's going to be really cool. It's going to be the more visual aspect of the promotion.
Okay. I take it you can't say anything yet.
Oh, music videos. Oh, I'll put it there. I'll just say music videos, and it's there's gonna be a lot of them.
Okay, cool. Um, the vinyl itself is held back till April. All of us, we've talked about the
April, yeah, yeah,
vinyl, yeah, on the
yeah,
show
because
quite a
yeah,
bit.
because
Yeah.
manufacturing plants still think that vinyl's a fad, and so they're not expanding or building any new ones. So it's been yeah. They told us probably about at some places it's 10 months to turn around for vinyl and all that. But we say late March, early April, but there's a good chance it might be sooner. But I
Okay.
just it's better to under promise and overachieve in that regard. So and
Right.
and those can be super exclusive too. I think we're only printing up like 200 of those vinyl,
Okay.
and then after that, that's probably going to be it. And so, unless like it's like bam money, then it's like okay, we'll print up some more. But that stuff's expensive, man. Like I said, Spoilerhead Records. That's just the four of us, and
Mhm.
we're doing everything in house. So yeah, so vinyl that's exclusive to 200, and I think we sold probably about half that so far between the signed and unsigned. So if anybody's thinking about vinyl, I'd say probably pull the trigger sooner than later for that.
Okay. So
Oh,
I'm
thank you, the Rock and Roll Video Cast. I really appreciate that.
yeah, the whole thing with Bandcamp is the first day or the first Friday of every month. I said November 1st. I may have screwed that date up. It's November 5th.
Okay.
The first Friday of every month until the end of the year. All of the fees that they normally keep for album sales go directly to the artist. So the artist gets 100% of the sales.
Oh, good to know. I'll
Yeah.
definitely make sure to push that out there. Be like, hey, you should buy stuff today.
Yeah. So yeah. See that? You learn something every day.
Yeah. Thank you.
Any talk about touring behind the album?
Yep. I was actually just talking to Dave about that too, right before I hopped on, and yeah, everybody's probably going to see the Lucid on stage a lot sooner than we all anticipated. So,
Okay.
because originally we were thinking like summer 2022 or something like that, but we're starting to get some things worked out to where it could be a lot sooner than that. So it's we're definitely a band, and we definitely want to play shows, and our agents with is TKO Alex Gilbert,
Right.
and he's been getting a lot of cool offers to do stuff and everything, and we're probably definitely gonna be hitting up a lot of the festivals next year too, and
Cool.
maybe even and early stages of something in the UK as well for
Oh, wow.
next September.
Awesome. As far as you outside of the Lucid, do you have any other projects that you're working on that you can talk about?
To be, I never think that too far ahead, man. You know me. I might actually be doing something with Mandy Lyon. If you remember Mandy Lyon
Yeah,
from World
absolutely.
War III,
Yep.
he's a dear friend, and we were talking about doing some covers and all that too. Maybe even with Dave and Mike as well. This kind of for fun.
Wow.
And you know what? I've known Mandy since I was a kid, man. He's one of my oldest friends, and yeah, he's incredible. He's got a lot of cool stuff up his sleeve too. He's showing me some stuff, and I think he's yeah, I think 2022 is going to be the year of the lion for sure, because that guy, he never really got his due, And I
Right.
think within the next few years, you're going to be seeing a lot of Mandy Lion, and it's going to be all kick-ass stuff.
Such a shame that the band he had with Jakey Lee, Wicked Alliance, never took off, because I have
Yep.
snippets of like songs that were leaked years ago.
hmm
And it was like, wow, I need to hear these full songs,
Oh
So
yeah, yeah, that stuff was killer, man. Yeah, yeah, Mandy. He does that. He's got that Mandy. Yes, absolutely, Brad. Yeah, Mandy is a good dude, and he's got that guttural kind of like like testosterone Bon Scott, where it's like, oh, but then he has this really pretty clean voice too that he doesn't do too often. But yeah, this new stuff he's showing me, man, it's so fucking it's killer. Like everybody's gonna love it. I'm so excited for Mandy. He's got a lot of cool stuff happening.
awesome. That's really awesome to hear. I remember way back when they were signed to, I think they were Hollywood Records, like
Yep.
first signing. And obviously the first version of World War III was essentially Dio's band. It was
Yeah.
Vinnie Appice, it was Jimmy Bain, and it was Tracy G on guitars.
Yeah.
Uh,
And
so
the whole story behind that too was, man, like and he was managed by Don Arden too. Mandy was,
wow,
and but what happened with that album is just insane. Uh, because they had this A&R guy, and because Mandy's German, they wanted it to be they wanted the album cover to be they wanted it to be Mandy with the shotgun shooting the Pope's head off, and they wanted to put a Nazi slogan in the liner notes and in like the album sleeve, and they wanted and yeah, I forgot the guy's name, the A&R guy, but yeah, I'm sure he disappeared on behalf of Don Arden at some point.
wow, that's crazy.
Yeah, it gets even crazier too. Like if you ever get Mandy on the show, he'll tell you he's got stories, man. Mandy Lyon has stories for days. I should get you guys in touch to bring him on because he's a great interview. He's a great chat.
Yeah, I'd be more than happy to have him on. So
I'll let him know. I'll send him a text and tell him that people want to hear from you.
cool. That's awesome. Um, you're gonna be at Chiller. Anything else that you want to promote?
I think that's it for now. Because I don't got any other projects. Oh yeah, I'm going to be in this movie called Trivial, another James L. Edwards movie. I was in his movie Her Name is Krista, as well as Brimstone Incorporated, and then the third one is Trivial, and it's probably going to be his magnum opus for sure. The script is incredible. It's like it's insane. It's gonna be really cool. I think we're shooting that around like March, I think, or something. But that's gonna be it's gonna be one that's definitely gonna make a mark for sure. Plus, if anybody ever wanted to see me tied to a chair for feature length and being tortured, I think they're gonna get a kick out of it. It's a great story. The story is awesome. It's like a twisted game show revenge movie where this psychotic woman kidnaps these people who all have something in common, and asks them trivia questions on a fake TV show. It's like a TV studio set up, and every time they get a question wrong, she messes them up, and then third time they get something wrong, just whoop, and it's great.
Here I am working behind the scenes to set up a trivia component. I didn't think about doing that type of stuff, so maybe that's something we're gonna have to look into in the future.
Yeah, totally, man. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, won't get into too much trouble with that.
Bring it on.
Yeah, awesome. Well, I do want to thank you for coming on the show again and letting us know about the Lucid and everything that you have going on.
Oh, anytime, man. If you have any other questions, just let me know. I mean, or whatever you want. Whether anybody have any questions, whatever you want. I don't want to take up too much of your time, but I'm here for as long as you want me to be.
Yeah, guys, if you have any questions for Brad in the chat, yeah, we have questions for Brad all the time. Questions for Drew. Brad was the last one to post, so I'm reading and speaking at the same time.
Oh,
if anyone wants to ask Drew a question, now is your time, damn it.
It would definitely get Mandy on for sure. Yeah, the second we get off here, I'll send him a text and get that set up. He's such a cool guy.
Well,
I'm really happy he's finally getting something out there too. It's been too long, man, and he's such a talented guy. Oh man, like people are going to be blown away by what he's doing.
Yeah, because outside of the World War III stuff, I know that he appeared on the on George Lynch's first solo album. Like now, it's not considered his first solo album. I don't know why, but yeah, he just released the solo album this year, and supposedly that's his first solo album. Like he did that album back in '93 with Mandy and Ray Gillen and so on and so forth. So
in the age of cancel culture, he just canceled one of his own albums. Interesting.
He canceled one of his own albums. There you go.
Ozzy did that too with the Ultimate Sin. Remember when he did that?
Yeah, but he ended up bringing it back. But now the one that Ozzy canceled is Speak of the Devil.
Oh, Speak of the Devil, really? That was a good one.
Yeah, I mean, if you really think of that, it was funny watching the new Arch Enemy song that they released yesterday. Jeff Loomis is doing what I've been told is called, at least in Spanish, it's called gargling on the guitar, which is supposedly, the whammy stuff that Brad Gillis does.
I love Brad Gillis. He's a cool guy too. Brad Gillis is awesome. He is so cool. And the gargling, I gotta check that out. I feel like an incompetent guitar player. I don't know what that is.
Well, do you remember his solo from Paranoid off of Speak of the Devil?
I do, yeah.
Okay, so what he's doing on the whammy bar towards the end of his solo,
right?
That in Spanish is called gargling.
Interesting, huh?
I have. Awesome. I don't know what the technical term is in English, but I asked someone who was giving me guitar lessons at one time, and he said, "Oh, that's called gargling on the guitar." I'm like, "Oh, okay." Kind of weird, but all right.
I'm gonna listen to that in a little bit and be like, "Oh, that's a guitar gargle."
There you go.
A gargle solo.
A gargle solo. There you go. Yeah, I don't get why they do that. Like you said, it's usually someone else coming along and wanting to off something, but for an artist to do it with his own stuff.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, that's great, especially after it's been out for so long and people like it. Like why mess with it? Why be like, nope, this one doesn't count anymore?
Yeah,
that's the whole point of having output as an artist for it to live out there and exist, and there's nothing you can do about it because it's out there. So it becomes a part of your repertoire.
Right.
that people base your future uh, stuff against, and be like, oh, well, compared to this one, compared to that one. So, and Speak of the Devil was a great live album, and Ozzy's
Yeah.
done quite a few of them. And then you compare
Absolutely.
like Live and Loud, Speak of the Devil, or even Tribute, and
Mhm.
then Live at Budokan, and all. I mean, they're all great live albums. They're all really different too.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. Um, yeah, I never understood the whole Ultimate Sin thing too, because it was because of his image. It wasn't because of the music. It was
That's
because
just
he
the hairband thing.
yeah, because he had his hair all puffed up and he was wearing the moo or whatever the hell
The
those
moo-moos, the glitter moo-moos. You know what's funny too is that when Gus G joined the band, they started playing. They played the song "Ultimate Sin" once. I remember because
right,
live, like for like the first time like 30 years, and I thought that was the coolest thing. I was like, holy crap! Then they started doing "Shot in the Dark" again, and there might have been another one from that one they started doing too. I think "Killer Your Giants." Was that from
right.
Ultimate Sin?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, they started doing a bunch of stuff from Ultimate Sin, and I was like, "Holy crap, look at that." And I was like,
Right.
"Look at that." Yeah, that was really cool.
It, being the oddball that I am, Shot in the Dark is the only song that I don't care for off of that album.
Me
And
too. And I know that's like a Phil Soussan song actually too. Like that was like his that a version of that song exists with like a different entity, I believe.
oh
Before
yeah, he's recorded that a bunch of times over the years.
Right, yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. But yeah, that one, yeah, as like an Ozzy song, I'm like, it's kind of, especially with what else is on that album. It's like I would, really don't really hear it as this Ozzy single. The single,
Right.
sure, but as an Ozzy single, I mean, there's so much other good stuff on that one.
Yeah, Ultimate Sin was such a cool song.
Yeah.
That he did. What other song did they release as a single? I think
Was
Lightning
it
Strikes.
Lightning Strikes and Thank God for the Bomb? Or is that what it's called? Or
Yeah, but that was more on like the VHS that they released. He
right, right.
cut off of it, and he played Secret Loser off of that, which was Randy
Secret
Cage's
Loser. Yeah.
drum solo.
Oh yeah.
Mm. The other song that I've always like absolutely loved off of that is Never.
Oh yeah.
Just the way Jake plays on that song, just the progressions, the chord progressions on on that song I've always loved.
Oh
So,
yeah, it's truly a great album. Like,
yeah.
I haven't listened to it in a long time either. I gotta just dive back into listening to music again in general. It's been a while.
Yeah. Well, sometimes when you're focused on your own stuff, it's difficult to focus on other people's stuff. So I get that.
Oh yeah. Well, yeah. I'm gonna start listening to Ultimate Sin. Then the next Lucid album is gonna sound like Ultimate Sin. It's gonna be pretty cool.
There you go. Would everyone else go for it?
What's that?
Would everyone else go for it?
Yeah, yeah. Oh, and another thing too, there will be. We're working on a second Lucid album already too, by the way.
Oh, okay.
And
Well, you had 30 pieces of music, so
oh yeah, actually, it's all stuff different from that as well. So like we did that whole Dropbox. It's like, hey, you know what? Ben didn't take to the rest of these, so we'll just put those over here for something else. And we started a whole new Dropbox. And I think we got like 10 or 11 pieces of music in there already, and Vin's starting to go through them. And so there's a good chance by next year, even before we start playing shows, maybe there might be a second one already done. Yeah, we work pretty quick. And the album came together really quick too, and because it was like April 2020 is when we started on it, and we were done writing it by like June, and then recording it only took a couple weeks, and then mixing it kind of took our time because there was no rush. It was the pandemic, and the whole thing was 100% done by like January, and but yeah, now that we got everything kind of locked in, and with Russell Lamert, who mixed and mastered it too, is incredible. He did a great job, and but yeah, we got a cool team, and like we could definitely get yes, more tunes the better indeed, absolutely. And it's fun to hear, like, because all the songs are so different, like to hear how this next batch are, and it's definitely even more different too. Like some stuff's even heavier and some stuff's even lighter, and so it's gonna be cool to hear how this one goes as well. It's definitely gonna be different, but the same, if you will, the same
it,
ideas, but the different sonically.
it'll help you guys fill out a live set.
Totally. Yeah, we were talking about that too. Yeah, like we're like, what are we gonna do? I was like, I don't know, because we don't really want to play Megadeth songs. And but we'd probably definitely be happy to play a Sponge song or two. Love Sponge.
Right. If you had to play a Sponge song, what would you pick?
Me, probably Wax the Static. I love that song. And then,
Right.
and of course, you got to do Cloud and all that. And Molly's great too. And Have You Seen Mary? Got to Be a Bore. My Purity. I could go on, and I love Sponge,
Right.
man. That second album's my favorite, Wax the Static,
Right.
the album. It's so good. It's like gothic punk country.
Right.
It's fantastic, and Ben's using a cool voice on that too. It's almost has like a British kind of tinge to it,
Mhm.
and it's so great. But yeah, if I had to pick one Sponge song, by the Wax of Static, the song for sure.
Very cool. Yeah, that second album is really cool. Definitely the title track, My Purity.
Yeah.
Anastasia is another song that's
Oh yeah.
off of that as well.
You know what's
So
funny too? You could definitely. I figured out that Marilyn Manson was listening to a lot of that album when he did Mechanical Animals, because like you listen to the song Coma White and you listen to Anastasia, and
right,
Anastasia came out a couple years before that, and there's a lot of the same uh, ideas, especially
right.
vocally, that end up in Coma White. And I'm not. I never even brought that up to Vin. Like who knows? And then Sponge had an album called or a song, it's something to do with all the drugs in the world, and that's a line in Coma White, and all the drugs in this world. And so it's interesting, like just how it's like, hey, I think he pulled that from there. And Anastasia is awesome. Death of Drag Queen. What else is on that one? 17, and Got to Be a Bore is kill. Silence is their drug.
Right.
That's a killer song too. I mean, yeah, it's the whole thing. And then Got to Be a Bore. They got the Peter Frampton talk box thing on the guitar. Oh man, it's I could talk about Sponge all day, man. That's great. They got a new album too called Lavatoria. That's definitely in line with Wax of Static too, as far as the sound and everything.
Mhm.
And James L. Edwards, who I do all the movie stuff with, he actually directed and stars in the music video from the new Sponge album. It's called Stitch. So
Oh
check
wow.
out Stitch. And I actually wrote the concepts for it too, for the music
Oh,
video. So if you want
yeah,
to,
cool.
it's pretty cool.
I'll have to check that out.
I was going to direct it too, but it was right around the time all the Dave stuff was happening, and I was
Mhm.
like, I don't feel like doing anything right now. All right,
Yeah.
I was like, I'll write an idea, but yeah, as far as like having to yell at people, directing is such a weird thing.
Mhm. Yeah, I've been a huge Manson fan, and worst show I've ever seen, actually, Manson.
Really? Oh
Yep.
wow. Well,
So
what era? What era did Manson
it
show was
was
that?
high end of the low.
I didn't
Uh,
see him in that. The last time I saw him was 2000. But the golden age of grotesque was the last time I saw
okay, so this was after Twiggy came back,
him.
and the last 20 minutes of the show, this was at a festival, is Marilyn Manson, not the band, Marilyn Manson, the person, with a blue Telecaster for 20 minutes singing Sweet Dreams and The Beautiful People by himself.
Did his band quit?
The band went back. He had like backup singers. He had like he had two guitarists. It was a full band. They all went back, and he just came out with the blue Telecaster, strumming some incoherent shit and kind of hard to make out. Like you could tell he was fucked up on something. And it was like, I luckily it was at a festival, and like Suicidal Tendencies was coming on next. I was like,
Clean your palate.
yeah, let's just walk over. I don't want to remember this because this an artist that I've wanted to see for years. Um, but once you see something like that, it just breaks your heart.
Totally, man. What was he thinking? Because I saw him. The best show I saw of him was Ozfest 2001.
Okay,
It was like Black Sabbath, Manson. I forgot who else, but I remember those two obviously because they stuck out. And Manson, I think that was like right before he started going wee, and
right.
uh, and it was killer. He came out in the stilts and all that, and he had the podium and everything, and
Right.
it was friggin' awesome. And yeah, then I saw him again in Golden Age of Grotesque, and it was still good. Different. It's more like his ragtime kind of era,
Right.
and
Yeah.
then now it's like the guy kind of collapsed in on himself, and yeah, he's probably gonna lay out the drugs a little bit. I'm assuming, but yeah, I mean, I'm a huge Manson fan too. Mechanical Animals is definitely one of my favorite albums of all time. Like that's man, Manson channeling Bowie. I'll take that any day. Because that was
Right.
such a great album. Like every
Mhm.
single song, it's just so good.
Yeah. I don't think that the albums as a whole are bad. Like I think each album has good material on it,
Right.
but some of the stuff, like the last album that he did, was actually pretty good with I was pronounced his name wrong, with Shooter Jennings.
Oh, I
Uh,
haven't heard that yet. Oh, The Pale Emperor. I loved The Pale Emperor
yeah.
as well. That's the one he did with Tyler Bates. The
Yeah, he
he,
did 2 with Tyler Bates, which
oh, you did?
surprised me that yeah, the Pale Emperor, and the other one I can picture, Born Villain is the other one that he did with
Okay,
Tyler.
I gotta check that one out. But yeah,
Yeah,
Pale Emperor. Oh yeah, that one front to back. It's like him doing blues, and it's so good.
right.
Like the Mephistopheles of Los Angeles is.
Yeah,
I used to have that song on just repeat. It's just such a cool song, and yeah,
yeah,
the whole album with the 6th Day of a Seventh Day Binge,
yep.
and oh man, yeah, the whole thing is so cool to listen to, and yeah, I got to check out. What was it, Born Villain? Was that the one?
What the heck's the name of the last one?
Oh,
Um,
there's so many of them now.
yeah, but the last one was I think the last one was the closest to, like, the first few albums. Like,
Oh,
everything, the 2 albums that he did with Tyler Bates, I think, is good. The album after, um, the second album he did with Tim Skold, not Golden Age of Grotesque, the next one
oh,
was the one that kind of, I mean, it's okay, but it's just not, it never really grabbed me. Like, it's got a few cool songs on it, but
was that the one where they had the like heart-shaped glasses or something like that?
yeah,
Or
yeah,
yeah,
that's
I
the one.
forgot what. Yeah, same thing. That's when I started to get lost on it too. Because yeah, Golden Age of Grotesque was cool. Like that was
Yeah,
I thought that was a good one. And down diggers out, like a diggity down. It's like I don't know what he's saying, but I'm bopping my head. And but yeah, 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 I agree 100% that there's still a lot of Manson I still got to check out too, evidently. 'Cause yeah,
yeah,
that's the last thing I remember him doing was Pale Emperor, and so there's probably a couple more since then.
yeah. So okay, so Born Villain is the first Tyler Bates album, then it's Pale Emperor, then actually 3 albums with Tyler Bates. The
Ooh,
third one is Heaven Upside Down.
okay,
And then the last one with Shooter Jennings is We Are Chaos.
nice. Okay, cool. I got to check those out then. What was the one with the Tim Skold that you and I are kind of like, eh?
It's called Eat Me, Drink Me.
Eat Me, Drink Me. Okay, I remember I listened to that one like once, and I was like, I'm gonna listen to Mechanical Animals.
Yeah. High End of the Low has some cool tracks on it. There's a song called You're Saying Blues. There's a song called Four Rusted Horses off of that, which is
Ooh,
really cool because it's him and a someone on acoustic guitar, and you've got like your typical like Manson like sound effects in the background, but um there's no drummer, there's no drum machine. It sounds like an old blues song with someone just like stomping on the floor.
oh, that's awesome. I got to check that out. Four Rusted Horses.
Four Rusted Horses.
Okay, cool.
And
Yeah,
then the other song that I absolutely love off of that album is called I Have to Look Up Just to See Hell.
nice. Oh, that's such a cool title.
Yeah.
Oh man. Oh,
So
that's awesome.
those 2 songs, I absolutely love those 2 songs. And that one isn't bad either.
And that one, what's that one called again? High and the Low?
The High End of Low, yeah.
Okay, okay, cool. Yeah. Yeah, I'm gonna start diving back into some of that stuff and catch up on my Manson. And
The studio stuff, like I said, there's a lot of cool stuff there, but then, he goes out in concert and then it's a crapshoot.
Yeah.
I've seen plenty of footage that isn't great. So
No, yeah, yeah. Yeah, it's I guess that's a part of his performance art, I guess. Like I can see just kind of his pure expressionism as far as like, I don't really feel like doing a good show today, so let's give him something else. And then next thing you know, you got backing singers and him on a blue Telecaster,
yes,
try to figure it out.
try to figure it out live.
Yeah, honest, yeah. And I got to see this video. That sounds that sounds. I don't know what that sounds like, but it sounds like something. Probably doesn't sound too good,
Yeah,
but
absolutely. So anyway, let's gonna wrap things up here.
Mhm.
I do want to thank you for coming on. Where should people go if they want to keep up with you?
Oh, just I guess check out the Lucid on Facebook, and then there's lucidofficial.com, which is the band camp. You can get the CD and all that, and we're on Spotify, Amazon, all of it, all that for sure,
Okay.
and the Dave socials and all that, and I mainly use Facebook if anything, so just Drew Fortier on Facebook and all that, and yeah, just come say hey, and like I'm always up for like hey, what's going on? Like oh, just keep him busy with my random buffoonery and and all that. But yeah, yeah, Victor, it's I always love chatting with you, man. Like anytime you want to do this, I'm always up for it. I know Fridays are a little. It's the second time in a row. I'm like I'm gonna be late. I'm so sorry.
Yeah.
But
Well, we've always made it work. So
no, totally.
I mean, with me, the Friday is the only day that works where I can
Okay,
stay up because it's 1:30 a.m. almost on my end. So
that's crazy. Yeah, you're in Spain, right?
yeah.
Yeah, that's
So
awesome. Yeah, let me know when you. Yeah, anytime you want to do this, man. Maybe bring on some of the other guys from the band. I'll definitely get you Mandy, and yeah, yeah, it'd be anything you need. I'm always here, buddy.
awesome. I definitely appreciate that. So
Yeah. And thank you
just thank,
everybody in the chat. I really
yeah,
appreciate everybody listening and everybody in the chat and such. So you guys are awesome.
awesome. We're gonna wrap the show up here, folks. Thanks. Like Drew said, we will see you on Monday. If anyone wants to check the live interview out, it will be with Gary Shea from Alcatraz. That will be at 12:30 p.m. Eastern, 9 a.m., 9:30 a.m. on the West Coast. For anyone in the UK, that's 5:30 p.m. and anyone in Europe, it's 6:30 p.m. So Gary Shea, we'll see if we can get some Vinnie Vincent stories out of him.
Oh yes.
So anyway, guys, thanks for being here, and that is the end of the show. We'll see you next time right here on the Signals from Mars live stream, brought to you by the Mars Attacks podcast and by VMR IT web design and audio editing. See you, folks.
See you guys.